Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Jennifer, and we're a middle-aged couple with a Regal Unlimited subscription and a penchant for movie popcorn.
And we are going to document every movie we see in 2025. We're going to do something a little different this time, which means that most likely this video will be longer than most of our videos.
What a scandal.
Yeah. Jennifer and I didn't see the same movie. We actually went to two different movies this week. Just for scheduling reasons, it wasn't anything.
And the movies themselves reasons, at least on my part.
Yes. So I went and saw the movie Hard Eyes, which is a romantic comedy slasher made in 2025 by Josh Rubin is the director. And Jennifer saw...
I went to see Love Hurts, which I thought was a comedy martial arts film, but is really a martial arts film without a whole lot of comedy, but also with a Valentine's Day theme.
But it's also a Marshawn Lynch movie.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things to say about it. I wasn't going to talk about it yet. I just
thought,
introduced the movie.
Because you said it was a martial arts movie. It's also a Marshawn Lynch movie.
Uh-huh.
See, because that's funny.
Uh-huh.
No, the joke here is we both went and saw unconventional Valentine's Day movies.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is Hard Eyes versus Love Hurts. So how was Love Hurts?
It was not as good as I had hoped, and I didn't have a whole lot of expectations for it. But the trailer, this was definitely a movie where the trailer, got me, right? So the trailer is showing this guy who is played by Ke Huy Quan, who I utterly adore and would go see any movie he's in. But the trailer shows you that he's a real estate agent who's living this basically boring life, but used to be some kind of enforcer or hitman or something guy for his brother in some underground operation, and he had gotten out of the life, and the brother's trying to drag him back, right? And the trailer has what's the Celine Dion song? I forget the title of it, right? But there's
Our Love Will Go On?
No. There, we leave you like this, I miss you like that. It's All Coming Back to Me Now, which is the name of the song. And so the trailer is cut really perfectly to mix the kind of hilarity of this boring 50-year-old guy busting out into martial arts with that song. Mm-hmm. And in this very up-tempo but yet has some humor to it kind of way. And I was expecting the whole movie to kind of feel like that and have that kind of up-tempo, hilarity but yet a serious kind of plot, and it doesn't really hold up. It doesn't have the level of hilarity that I kind of expected. Marshawn Lynch is in it, and his moments are very funny. He has a smallish role in the movie, and the part that's meant to be dead serious is kind of florid and over the top in ways that aren't funny, but also you kind of can't take seriously. So it kind of doesn't resonate. But there's another bad guy in this movie that you don't see in the trailer, who is incredibly creepy. And I'm I have seen this guy before. Who is this guy? This guy is Mustafa Shakir. And he plays this role called the Raven. And in the end, there's another character in the movie that falls in love with him, which makes no sense because the guy is a complete insane killer person who's basically covered in knives that he just keeps somehow pulling out and throwing at people and somehow not killing, the people you would think he would kill, despite the fact that he's a killer. I'm who is this guy? Who is this guy? This guy was Bushmaster in the Luke Cage series. And it's a similar kind of role in the sense of menace that this character is supposed to have. But then yet the everybody's menace is then like undercut, and it's all undercut in ways that should be funny, but in the end it's not, and in the end it's serious, because in the end it's a romantic movie. And so like there's Ke Huy Quan's assistant like ends up falling in love with this guy because she's depressed, and she reads his poetry that he carries around with him while he goes around to kill people, and realizes that they're like soulmates. And her soulmatesness with him like redeems him at the end. And then, you know, all of this plot of this movie is that Ke Huy Quan couldn't kill Ariana DeBose years before because he was in love with her. And so they get together at the end. Like it's all very bizarre.
It sounds like a mess of a movie.
It's kind of messy. Like all the martial arts sequences are really great. There's like really great fights, but there's lots and lots and lots of fights. There's really more fights than anything else, which is not what I was expecting. And some like significant violence, and a cameo from one of the Property Brothers, who plays the like competing real estate agent, who on his signs, he's like a black belt, and so like on his signs he always has himself in this like martial arts pose, but then when he gets swept up in this stuff, he ends up getting shot through the face like really quickly because he's actually an idiot, right? And you know, you get that like shot that apparently I guess is the shot that you just have to have in movies these days, where the camera shows you through the guy's head after the shot goes through.
They do love that shot.
Which is not a shot I actually need in a movie. So yeah, like, you know, I went to see it because I thought it would be kind of funny. I, you know, want Ke Huy Quan to have like a great movie career. I would love for Ariana DeBose to have a great movie career. I enjoy Marshawn Lynch. It was a movie. But it was very much like it was set at Valentine's Day. Like it was about like love with violence.
It's fascinating to me because we went and saw these two movies separately, and we did not plan this.
Nope.
That we were going to make a video about Valentine's Day movies.
Nope.
And yet somehow we both watched Valentine's Day movies.
Yes, we did.
And we both watched movies where there's a shot where someone gets a hole put in their head and then the camera tracks through the hole. Yes. We both saw a movie where there was a creepy character covered in knives.
Oh, okay.
In this case, it was the slasher. We both saw movies with bizarre celebrity cameos, although in my case it was Jordana Brewster.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that there was a celebrity cameo in that. All right.
My movie was considerably funnier, it sounds like. It was absolutely... So the thing about Hard Eyes is that Hard Eyes is attempting to do two things at once, which is usually a kiss of death for a movie. Hard Eyes is trying to be a rom-com and a slasher movie at the same time. Now,
you gotta have ambitions. You gotta have goals.
Yeah, most of the time when people try to mix horror with some other genre, either they forget about the horror and it's just horror trappings around a normal genre movie, or they forget about the other genre and they just do straight horror. The notable exception to this, of course, is Shaun of the Dead, one of the great classic horror movies, and also a buddy comedy, among other things. That's an amazing movie. Hard Eyes is not an amazing movie. I would never go that far. It is absolutely...
It's not quite Shaun of the Dead.
It is absolutely one of these movies, one of these horror movies of the 21st century that looks like it was made for children. It's all very candy-colored, but very dark. It's all very sort of light-hearted and yet full of just incredible gore. Some of the stuff in this movie is just very stomach-churning. I don't know why this movie got an R rating. This is exactly the kind of movie you would expect to get cut down to a PG-13. This is something that happens to horror movies, and it's usually the kiss of death, but they let this one go with an R rating. And it absolutely earns that R rating. There is a lot a lot of very gory violence. There is a sex scene that is not explicit, but is very. I can't describe it without spoiling it. It's actually one of the high points of the movie. Um, Nobody's naked in the sex scene, but it's hilarious. Uh, but the thing about Hard Eyes is there's a lot more than meets there's a lot more heart than meets the eyes. Haha. But yeah, somebody loved this movie. Somebody actually went into making this movie with the idea, we're going to make a really good movie today.
Mm.
They didn't necessarily succeed, but they really tried, and it shows. The two main characters, who are named Ellie and Jay, have a lot of chemistry, which is good for a rom-com, obviously. They meet at work, in a work situation where it looks like Jay is going to replace Allie at her advertising job. So at first she hates him. Through a very contrived series of events, they end up kissing without meaning to. Now, it happens to be Valentine's Day, and in the universe of this movie, there is a serial killer called Heart Eyes who only kills couples on Valentine's Day. And so Heart Eyes begins to chase Allie and Jay around and try to kill them both. And they keep protesting the whole time, we're not even a couple, we hate each other. Now, the movie wears its influences very, very much on its sleeve. There's a major plot element that takes place at a drive-in movie theater. The drive-in movie theater on Valentine's Day in 2025 is somehow His Girl Friday, which is a great movie. It's a rom-com. It is not playing at any drive-in movie theater in 2025. But that's okay, because they want you to think, oh, okay, this is where we're coming from. This is, mismatched buddy comedy turns rom-com in the classic formula. Meanwhile, the slasher is constantly trying to kill them and is really racking up the bodies on the way. They make it clear that anybody who gets in the way, this killer will die. That is absolutely true. There are hundreds of deaths in this movie, I would say. Many of them just very quick and visceral and over in a second, but they're all done with the joyfulness of someone who is used to making horror movies. Meanwhile, the script is pretty tight. The interplay between the two leads is very strong. They really do go through a very strange experience. There's no point where you think to yourself, oh, no two human beings would stop and do this at this point, which is what you expect from this kind of thing. You think they're going to fall in love while they're being chased by a slasher. No, it actually makes sense, how it works out. The sexual politics of this movie are strangely progressive. There's without giving away too much in terms of spoilers, there's, the female part of the duo is extremely capable and is more than ready to fight back, and in fact often has to save the male lead. I don't want to ruin anything else, so I won't spoil anything else, but there are other things in this movie that make me think this is a movie written for women as well as men. Certainly there's a lot of, traditional gore and stuff in this, but if you like rom-coms and you can handle the gore, I think that this is actually, it works on that level. So it's the rare horror hybrid movie where it not only works as a horror movie, it works as a rom-com. I don't think that it works for either one spectacularly well. There's a lot of missed opportunities, and there are a lot of jokes that don't quite land. Unfortunately, the best joke in the movie doesn't land. And this is that there are two cops in the movie, they're partners, and their names are Hobbs and Shaw. And one of them is Jordana Brewster.
Oh, that's really funny.
Yes.
Yeah.
But when the female lead, Allie, says to them, wait, like the movie? They both turn to each other and go, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, it doesn't quite land. That could have been a really great joke in this movie. It did not land, and that's too bad. I'll also say that the design of the killer is great. The Hard Eyes serial killer wears this mask with these night vision goggles in the shape of two hearts. So that's Heart Eyes. He's supposed to be a Cupid themed slasher. So he shoots a lot of people with arrows. And in fact has like this special arrow, like spring-loaded arrow that he uses as a dagger. It's a suitably creepy villain. I will go on my soapbox and say that I've never been a big fan of slashers since they made the first Scream. And the thing about the first Scream was that the slasher in that movie, it's a great slasher design, but the slasher is constantly tripping over his own robe, falling over furniture. People can easily push the killer over to get away and that sort of thing. That doesn't work for me. I grew up with Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, The Shape.
What's The Shape from?
That's Michael Myers from Halloween.
Oh.
It's called The Shape.
Oh, it's called The Shape. I didn't know that.
In the credits. I'm used to slashers that are implacable and unstoppable, and they can teleport right behind you when you're trying to run away, and they are, absolutely forces of nature more than they are weird people wearing masks. This is one of those ones where the slasher is a weird dude wearing a mask, and you find out who it is by the end of the movie. Of course you do. But that's all I'll say for that. But it's really just fascinating how there are so many notes in common in these two movies.
Yeah, I didn't actually really think about that until after I guess it was clear that I was going to see Love Hurts. Then I'm like, wait a second, yeah.
So, do you think the action sequences in Love Hurts, the martial arts segments, are good?
Yeah. They're shot well, and they're choreographed well, and they're interesting. For me, there are too many of them. And, after a while, it's like, okay, you've spent an hour out of this hour and 45-minute movie, beating the shit out of each other and stabbing people and stuff. And everybody's still up and punching, that stuff. I can't suspend disbelief, So it's this guy has a terrible day. And the terrible day starts with a knife through his hand. That he wraps it up and there's a little bit of blood sticking out of it through the rest of the whole movie, but he's punching fools with it the whole rest of the day. He's never incapacitated by this thing except for the 2 minutes that it takes him to wrap it up. If we're gonna start there, the level of disbelief that needs to be suspended for the rest of the, oh yes, I get picked up and thrown across the room, I throw these fools across the room, these fools get slashed and stabbed by this and punched by that and But
you would say that. So even the action sequences didn't really do it for you.
They if you take the action sequences just as looking at the choreographed fighting, that worked, right? But you string them all together, there is no martial arts movie that makes a lick of sense. Nobody can fight like that for hours and days without having an injury and not being able to fight anymore, right? So the whole genre doesn't make any sense, right? So if you take that as just that's the way things are, then yeah, it works, right? But yeah, that's the thing I don't dig about the genre. It's how all of these people would be dead. They'd actually be dead before the fight because the previous fight would have killed them, yeah. Okay.
So it sounds like, believe it or not, Hard Eyes is the better movie and is going to win this versus.
That's quite possible. I mean, of course, we didn't see the other movies, so it's not like I would have enjoyed. I would not have enjoyed Hard Eyes more than the movie that I saw.
Right, absolutely not.
So
no, if you don't like gory horror movies, this is absolutely one to avoid. Yeah. Hard Eyes, I mean.
Yeah.
But it sounds like nobody should go see Love Hurts.
I mean, I had heard it was not amazing. I went to go see it anyway.
And you came out thinking it wasn't good.
Yeah, it's not that great. But, it's not, oh my God, never see it. But,
so
it's the kind of movie that, back in the Stone Ages, if it came on TV and nothing else was on, you could, watch it and, sustain and be entertained.
Okay.
But in a universe where you have to actively choose it, Like, it's not necessarily going to be the movie that you actively choose, which I am sorry to say, because it has all these little bits that should be bits that you would, like, I would choose many of the bits, but when you put it all together, it's not something to choose as a coherent whole.
All right, whereas I would say that Hard Eyes, you need to want to see this movie. I think that this is going to be a movie you need to choose.
Mm-hmm.
It is not something you just put on in the background. The plot is too complicated. And the gore is just too heavy for casual viewing, especially in public. But if you like this kind of movie, I think you'll actually enjoy this one.
All right.
It's been an interesting year, say, for horror.
You mean like 12 months?
Yeah,
or
the last
like, 'cause
12
it's
months.
2025.
Yes. No,
It's a
I'm not
new
talking
year.
about 2025. I'm
Okay.
saying the last 12 months. And surprises. And I think that Smile 2 turned out to be one of my favorite horror movies of the year last year, even though I really disliked Smile 1. Heart Eyes, I was fully expecting to hate it, and I kind of like it. I really do. I think that there's a lot there. I think they put a lot on the screen. I think the two leads are really good together, and absolutely, especially Allie, she absolutely just works great as both the final girl and the meet cute that turns into the lifelong love. I don't know, man. I hate to say it, but I think my movie wins.
I don't know how we have a competition here because we didn't both see the movie.
Somebody's got to win.
No.
All right, so instead of seeing Love Hurts, watch Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Absolutely.
Again.
Watch that for the 75th time.
And the Marshawn Lynch episode of Murderville on Netflix.
Oh my God. Watch that and watch Marshawn Lynch on the Great American Baking Show Holiday Edition. There is no reason for anyone to know that this show exists, but if you have the Roku channel, then you can access this show. It's insane. Like, it's bonkersly hilarious. Like, piss your pants hilarious, because he's just being him. Yeah.
And I will say that...
And Murderville is the same thing.
If you're not up for the extreme gore of Hard Eyes, I would say you can watch Happy Death Day, which is... it's another horror movie that I did not expect to like and then turned out to be great. It's still one of my favorite horror movies of that year. But is the same kind of tone of this sort of very lighthearted slasher movie. And that's PG-13, I believe, so the gore is never all that bad.
And also just watch Luke Cage.
Sure.
Because that show was great.
That show was okay.
That
was good.
Great.
It was good.
It was great.
Yeah, Mike Coulter. Yeah, it was fantastic in that.
But Rossi was the bad guy. Who was the bad guy
this video
in the Penguin?
Is so long already.
Oh.
All right, last note.
Role reversal.
Last note, I will update everyone on Zit Watch 2025, which is that this pimple is almost gone. I didn't pick at it, didn't, squeeze it. It's going away on its own. But it's taking its time.
It likes to hang out on your face. It likes your face. I like your face.
The other thing I didn't say is that we are not sponsored or endorsed in any way by the Regal Corporation. We just happen to live next to or near to a Regal theater.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Until next time, this is Dave and Jennifer signing off.
Bye.